listen to the greatest experience of your lifetime. This is In Transit Radio with your host Raymond, and today we have a special co-host, our co-producer Christian.
What's up?
Robbie couldn't be here today, so my apologies for that. Hopefully he'll be on the show next week. But today our special guest will be John Fantasia, which if you are seeing live, you may see him next to Christian. And we have special musical guest, Walls That Talk. So that is coming up right after this track, actually. Enjoy.
Passenger side.
That was Walls That Talk. They are our special musical guest today. We're going to have them in the studio a little bit later on in the show. For now, we have special guest John Fantasia. Say hello, John.
Whatever happened to the 3.5-minute format for music? Was that like 5 minutes?
You're living in the modern age, John.
No, it's great. It's great. Good work, guys. Very nice.
So, John, tell us a little bit about you and the movies you've been in.
Well, I'm an actor, moved out to LA a couple of years ago, and I'm just trying to make my mark here. But before I came out, I did a couple of things up in Seattle. And one of the movies that I shot about 2 years ago was a movie called The Collapsed. Shot that out in Toronto. It did very, very well. Got picked up by Starz Anchor Bay, and it was distributed last year here in USA. Lionsgate distributed it in England and Europe, and it was also distributed in Japan under the title of Crazy World. That a really, really wonderful poster that had nothing to do with the movies. When the director sent me the poster, it's like two different posters. Like,
what is it?
No, it was great. They made me look really cool. They photoshopped a rifle and this whole thing, and I thought, wow, this is great. I said, is it the movie that we just shot? And he goes, yeah, this is what they're doing in Japan. So it was really cool. But the movie won a lot of awards. Official selection: Rue Morgue, Fangoria, won Crypticon in 2011. Award winner, Boston Sci-Fi Film Festival 2011, the winner of the Metropolitan New York Film Festival in 2011. So it did really, really well. So I'm happy about that. So I thought, I took a big breath and I said, got to move out to LA because now it's the big time.
That's it. I made my mark. Let's go to LA.
Boy, was I wrong. It doesn't work like that, unfortunately. So, it's all good. I'm having fun and stuff, auditioning and trying to get more work and stuff, yeah.
What's the difference between Seattle movie making and LA movie making that you've noticed?
Yeah, well, in Seattle, there's a couple of things, actually. In Seattle, they do shoot big movies there. In Spokane, out in Portland, they do a lot of TV series as well. But all the talent, the big talent, comes from Los Angeles. It's all the stuff is cast in L.A.
Right.
So everything else, I've been on Cuba Gooding Jr. sets and all that sort of stuff, or I'd rather audition for his movies and stuff like that. But it's like a line here and a line there, because the big stuff is cast. Because the way it works in Seattle and Spokane, Washington, is that a certain percentage of talent has to come from the area.
Right.
Yeah. So. Yeah, you get your little cameo kind of deal, and it's work. But really, LA is the place to be. If you're gonna, unless you're lucky enough to get into some sort of little indie movie that hits the big time, like Napoleon Dynamite.
Right, that blows up.
Yeah, exactly. It's this little movie. And people have high hopes for everything that they do, and this thing just took off like a rocket. And it happens. Another one is Winter's Bone.
I watched the movie
with Jennifer Lawrence.
Yeah,
exactly. if you look up her IMDb credit, she's got I think 3 things on there.
Yeah.
So it's really interesting how talent takes off and how a movie takes off.
Right.
And it obviously comes down to connections and people, and all that sort of thing as well.
It's all networking.
Exactly. Yeah, and I think LA is the place to be. That's why I came down here.
I think when it comes to the acting business, I could be wrong, but this is from my personal opinion. Is that unlike other industries where it's regular work, the harder you work, the better your rewards are. I think in acting, it's all on luck.
It's definitely luck. Look, I know actors that have been around for years that just they do good stuff, and they do a lot of indie stuff, and they do a lot of theater, and they're really great, wonderful actors, but just nothing ever happens.
Exactly.
I mean, the movie that I shot, The Collapse. Yeah. Well, it's they reckon it takes 2 or 3 years just for the casting directors to know, and then it could just be a hit and miss thing.
Yeah.
You go on an audition, like, do you remember Topher Grace from that 70s show?
Yeah, Topher Grace.
I mean, the dude was here for like 5 minutes in Los Angeles, went out on audition. I mean, this is the what I've heard.
Yeah.
And he got that 70s show. I mean, the guy is great. I love him. He's got a great sense of timing. But the collapsed, just to come back to that, I didn't shoot in Seattle. I didn't get in Seattle. I got it from Seattle. I went on Craigslist on the Toronto casting,
Right.
sent in an online audition, and the next thing you know, the guy, we want you to do this. But they thought I was Toronto-based.
Oh, right.
Oh,
Yeah,
really?
so because I sent in an online audition and everything's done through the net, and the guy goes, okay, can I see you tomorrow? I said, well, I have to fly in. And the director, Justin McCall, said, what do you mean? Where are you flying from? And I said, I'm flying from Seattle. He goes, well, no, we're only casting from Toronto. And I said, well, look, you guys are paying me, right? He goes, yeah, you're getting paid. I said, well, I'll cover my airfare. I said, I'll cover my expenses there and just pay me. And because I did the math and I was going to break even. But as it turns out, I didn't realize I was going to have the lead in the movie. So I had the lead in the movie. He was generous. He gave me back-end points. And it covered my airfare, it covered my accommodation while I was there, and I got more money coming in on residuals. So it's just one of those things you never know what's going to happen.
Exactly.
Yeah, so it's cool.
Wow.
Wow, that was really lucky right there.
It was. Another thing that I did and this is going back like 2 or 3 years, was a little short sci-fi called Marooned. I auditioned for this thing. I got the part. It's a little 15-minute sci-fi thing. And this is going on to do great things as well. Winner of the Boston Sci-Fi Film Awards, World Fest, it's winning awards and that. The Phoenix Comic-Con Film Festival, it's winning awards for that. It's a 15-minute feature. And I said to these guys, really nice guys, Ben and Brian, I said, how are you going to... It's a sci-fi thing that happens in space. I go, do you have equipment? How are you going to create this spaceship? And he goes, yeah, we're building it in our garage.
No, we have a couple of boxes out in the back.
Yeah.
So
I thought, really? And he goes, yeah, we do. And they were like really understated guys. So I got the role and, looked off the script and, made a couple of adjustments, went up to their house to shoot and they had this spaceship in this garage, and it's all cardboard and piping. Yeah, it's piping that they got from from the hardware store, from Lowe's and stuff. And I'm looking at it, I'm going, this is pretty cool. But you couldn't touch the walls; they collapse, But they shot this thing, and it looks as good as anything that's out there. Yeah, the digital effects are not Spielbergian, but they're really good. And that's why it's winning these awards. And it's a strong script, and they're doing really great. And they did all the music on it. The music's great, So yeah, you never know where the stuff's coming from. Yeah.
Wow. The thing I found out, I did a little bit of acting work back when I was a little one. You never know.
One.
I'm still a little one.
Dude, you look about 10. You look about 16 years old.
I'm about 12, so that's why I'm wearing the glasses and look older. You never know what to expect. Like I'm sure many of us actors and everybody in the entertainment industry, we look for any outlets, whether it's LA casting, Los Angeles Craigslist. What I learned is never to underestimate people, because once somebody is passionate about it, they'll go until the ends of the world to make it their vision, make it perfect.
Look, Marooned, I didn't get paid for. I saw the script, and I went up and I looked in their garage, and I saw the spaceship, and I said, wow. I saw some of the work they did, and I thought, yeah, I've got to do this. So it's one of those things that you need a passion for it.
Yeah.
And like I said, you never know how good something's going to be or how good it's going to get. You asked me before the difference between Seattle and Los Angeles.
Right.
If you go on Los Angeles Craigslist, for example, it's all porn.
Yeah.
And you've got to go through 5 pages before you find anything that could resemble a decent, listing.
Yeah.
In Seattle, it's different. It's more student stuff. It's more independent stuff. And, when I was out there, I'd go to everything. If they asked me in, I would go. And you never know. And I was also looking at Toronto, because I know Toronto's a big market as well. So I keep looking. But, they're just few and far between.
Yeah.
But in the meantime, I've got my agent here, Allensworth Entertainment, and they're sending me out on stuff, But it's not easy.
Yeah, it's definitely
because you're in Los Angeles, and who gets the big stuff? You never see, Battleship, Thor. You never see any of those things listed in Actors Access.
Right.
ICM's got that stuff covered. Creative talent, they've all got that stuff covered.
Yeah,
it's all done in-house. Yeah, so everyone's knocking on their door trying to figure out.
It's all networking.
Yeah, exactly.
Now, very quickly, we were talking before the show went live. You brought up a very interesting movie that I, in fact, did not know about. Christian knew about it.
Yeah.
I didn't know about it.
You disappoint me, Ray.
I'm sorry. I do that sometimes to people, but I just come back from it.
Yeah.
Desert Warrior.
Right. Yeah.
Tell us a little bit about Desert Warrior. Please educate me.
Yeah,
with your knowledge.
this is old news, but I think it's an interesting story. I mean, there's a few people that have done the rounds on CNN and all that sort of stuff because we lost three political people overseas, and I don't want to get too much into that, but I auditioned for it, a whole bunch of other people auditioned for it, and there's always a funny side to stuff, and this is essentially the funny side, is that I got a call on a Saturday morning. It was like 10 o'clock, come to this audition. I said, great, be here in 2 hours, great. And that's what LA is like anyway. And that's when I first moved to Los Angeles, and I didn't know what it was like. And I thought, geez, in Seattle, at least they give you a couple of days,
Right.
give you a week or something to prep. But I go in, and they held the audition at a wedding banquet hall, a facility. And people are setting up chairs for a wedding, and there's this little portly guy walking around. I thought he was like, the guy that managed the place or something. Then there was the director. And, we're talking for a little bit. And the director says to me, this is the character, Dr. Matthews. And I thought, okay, great. Dr. Matthews, I'm thinking, dude's an American.
Yeah.
Right? So they gave me a scene, and I read it. And, the guy that I thought was managing the facility comes up, and he goes, yeah, very good, he's good, yes, good. Okay, great, okay. So didn't hear anything from them. I thought, okay, I didn't get cast, not a big deal. So I get a call on, I think it was the Tuesday. I said, your cast is Dr. Matthews. And I thought, great, okay, you're going to send me the script? We'll send you the script. Excellent. So I'm waiting. When will you send it? Tomorrow? Great. Wednesday? Great. So Wednesday comes, and you don't want to be a pain in the butt to these people. Wednesday comes, nothing. Thursday comes, nothing. I said, should I call? I thought maybe I just got a little part, so it's no point in calling. They'll give me,
You never know.
Yeah, you never know. So I thought, you know what, just to be on the safe side, maybe they forgot. So I call. I call Thursday, yeah, we're going to get the script here. Okay, Friday night, I get 12 pages of dialogue, and we're shooting on Saturday. And it's like, you got to be kidding. The dialogue came in at about 9:30, 10 o'clock at night, and I'm trying to learn this stuff, and I just couldn't. It was really dialogue heavy. And I couldn't get a sense of the story. Everything was taken out of context. So we go in the next morning, or I went in the next morning to get up at 5 o'clock because I had to get up early. It's better I'm rested. So I'm printing up cue cards. This is the only way I could get through the day. So I printed up all these cue cards, and I go on set, and I walk up to one of the stage guys, and I said, look, I got cue cards. He said, yeah, not a problem. I thought, oh, okay, cool. So they start putting me in makeup. We need you in makeup. They put the darkest makeup on me. And I said, what am I playing? I thought I'm playing Dr. Matthews. And no.
You can actually see this on YouTube,
yeah,
right?
Yeah,
the
you can
movie,
actually see it. It's under
the movie trailer.
Yeah. They made me really, really dark, like an Egyptian. I'm thinking, I need to get into character. How does an Egyptian do it?
So you guys didn't tell me this?
Yeah. So I'm from Australia, man. I'm doing the best I can with what I'm given, So you get on set, I'm reading cue cards, and I start to talk like this, and I hope it's really close. It's the best I can do. And he had his little son holding up the cue cards. The dude is bored as hell, and I'm trying to do the scene, and he keeps dropping the cue card. I'm
falling asleep a little bit.
You got to lift the cue card up, man. And it was just a crazy shoot. Anyway, after it was done, we actually shot some live stuff, which was very, very cool. I think it's the Moonlight Ranch. It's where they shot Iron Man.
Oh,
yeah, it's a really cool set, So we're on set, and everything is going wrong. The director's like, we need smoke on the balcony because the thing, and there's no smoke. Cut. We got the scene. We shot it without smoke. So the girl comes down, and all of a sudden there's fire coming out of the top of the building. The guy goes, where's the pyro guy? He goes, I got your smoke. That was 2 hours ago. He's going, we don't need it. We need it down here now. And he's, oh, all right. It was just crazy. Nobody was prepared. Nobody knew what was going on, and everyone was in the same boat. They'd been given the dialogue late, and no one could really put, do you know what this is about? No one knew what the hell was going on. And usually you talk to other actors, and a little bit of this, a little bit of that, and it kind of comes together. It wasn't coming together, which is unusual, but, this is LA. This is my first thing that I did here. About 6 or 7 months later, I get a call. Can you come and do some overdubbing. Yeah, great. Usually when you do ADR work, you're looking at a screen and you're just doing the overdub because there's someone made a noise and it's covering your dialogue, that sort of stuff. But he had us do this really weird thing. I need you to say all these words, Muhammad, this, that, the other. And I said, what am I saying it to? No, you're just saying it. And we're going to put it in later. I'm going, but you're never going to be able to match it up. And he goes, no, it's okay, we match it up, no problem. And I'm thinking, okay. So we did all these words and stuff, and that's how they put it together, And the next thing, all hell's breaking loose. Now, the funny thing is, when all hell broke loose overseas, the video had already been up on YouTube for months. So it wasn't new, and it was already getting hits from overseas. Do you know what I'm saying? So I think it was just an excuse, but, that's my Desert Warrior story. And there's more stuff as well, man. I mean, I could fill an hour, but I know you got the other dudes coming in.
Right.
Yeah.
We're going to have Walls That Talk come in just a little bit second. I just wanted to point out that this segment is brought to you by StampTheBand.com. That's StampTheBand.com, where independent musicians and fans connect. If you're in a band or a music fan, Stamp the Band is the place to be. Join the most interactive music community on the web and FX Stuff now. Discover and support some of the best independent musicians and bands in the world, and let your opinions do the rest. StampTheBand.com. It's like your voice times 10.
Times 10, right? Get it together, dude.
Get it together. Come see what everyone's talking about for free. Again, that's on StampTheBand.com. Stamp the Band. It's good to be heard. Let's get some Walls That Talk music up and going, and we'll be right back with John Fantasia. Who doesn't hear that? We are back. Again, that's Walls That Talk. They're going to be our special musical guest a little bit later on in the show. For right now, we are speaking to John Fantasia, a brilliant actor who has starred in many roles, many different masks. So, John, tell us, how did you first get started in acting?
In school, basically. My uncle gave me a guitar, a Spanish guitar that had strings on it. It was a 6-string guitar that were steel, but they were like cables, man. And the neck, a Spanish guitar neck is really, really thick, and it was really hard to play, and it was very frustrating. But I remember taking guitar lessons from this dude, and not my uncle, this other guy. And I think one of the first things he taught was Yellow Submarine by the Beatles. It's actually in my bio. But, it was one of those show and tell things, so I go in and bring my guitar, and guitars don't travel well. Heat will make the strings expand, cold contract, and all that sort of stuff. Right. So I just started. I was playing for maybe 2 or 3 weeks, something like that. I couldn't get this thing to get in tune. Every string was out of tune. It was really pathetic. So I'm trying to play Yellow Submarine in 6 different keys, 6 strings. And I went to a Catholic school. Sister Mary Margaret was just like looking at me like, please make it stop, that kind of thing, because it was so bad. But I got through it, man. As bad as it was, I got through it. And then, you start doing plays in school, and that's how you basically get the bug, and if it's something. And it just stuck with me for forever, basically. It's just something that I knew that I wanted to do. And I actually wanted to play music. I was touring the west coast of Western Australia, because I'm originally from Australia. With my band, and it came to a point, do you go over east, to Sydney, that's the big time for Australia, or do you head overseas? And a lot of guys were going overseas back then. AC/DC was leaving the country, and I actually opened for AC/DC before they were AC/DC, and they were great then. They were like, I opened for them, and I thought, yeah, we were really good, and they wouldn't say, oh man, we suck. It was that kind of thing.
Man.
It was crazy. But and you make a choice, and I ended up with one of my cousins. I said, I'm sick of being in Perth. I'm going to go overseas. And he goes, yeah, I'll come with you. I said, really? He goes, yeah. A month later, man, we were on a boat. It took us a year to get to America, because we went to Singapore, went to Bangkok. We went to Europe, ended up staying in Europe for about 6 months. So it took us a year to finally get to America. And we didn't have a plan, We landed in New York, and okay, this kind of works, and just feeling our way and stuff. And I was still doing music. And I opened for the Joe Perry Project. We did some shows with them and stuff like that, which was really cool. But the bands kept breaking up. Things just kept breaking up. We didn't get a record deal, and it's hard just to keep doing this. And I ended up doing a little bit of theater back then. I kind of dug it. That's what I was doing in school, and I liked it. Then I ended up getting an agent, where actually someone saw me do something, said, look, we want to rep you. And it just went from there. And they said, well, if you're going to get rep, you need to start taking acting lessons. And that's what I did. I started taking acting lessons. And that, I don't know, that kind of evolved more than the music did. So I stuck with that, and I did like NYPD Blue. I think I did the early Law and Orders when I was over there. This is going back like 15, 20 years, something like that. And it's funny because I just did about a year ago, I did a CSI Las Vegas here, which is pretty cool with 10 dancing. I had a small spot on that. So, you get little bits and pieces of stuff, and in the meantime, you're doing movies and stuff, and that's where I think my strength lies, because I'm dark. People look at me and go, yeah, he's a mobster, but which is weird. You throw glasses on and they go, yeah, he could be a doctor. So yeah, just whatever comes your way kind of deal, and that's basically how I got started. Yeah.
Well, so you definitely enjoy theater more than music? Or?
I like music, but there comes to a point where because we were doing like pop rock, and it's just not a good look to be wearing spandex, when you get after a certain age, you know what I'm saying? So yeah, I love theater. I love performing on stage. It's a different buzz being on a live stage than doing studio work like this when you don't have an audience. It's always fun when you get that immediate feedback, but there's something great about working on a film set, and you need really great instincts to be in front of a camera. But even more than that, you need a great director. Because you can have great instincts, but if you don't have a great director, it ain't going to work, because he's your audience.
Right.
He's got to know if it's funny enough, if it's dramatic enough, does it need to be pulled back. I worked with one guy on a shoot where everything was great, and then you get to the finished product and you go, this really sucks, man.
What did you do?
Yeah. I worked in another set where the director asked the sound guy, do you have any? The sound guy's giving him the thumb. Yeah, we got it. It's great. And we had to go back and overdub the entire movie because there was no sound.
Oh,
yeah, it's just really crazy, when you're working with people that don't really have it together. Yeah.
What's your favorite group to make movies with, if you don't mind me asking? Like, will it be like thesis projects, like college students, or would it be directors? I've tried to do student films out here, and I remember a couple of years ago when I first came again. It was January, it was winter, and we were shooting a movie, and I had to jump in a pool, and it was cold. We did that all day, jumping in, doing this, You're waiting for the footage. It doesn't get released. Doing student films is a hit and miss. If you're doing a thesis and they're financially invested, like when you're doing a thesis and they throw you $100, you're going to get footage. Right. If you're doing it for charity, whereas you're trying to get footage without getting paid, they're not invested. Whether they finish it or they don't finish it, it doesn't matter. So that's really a hit and miss situation. But when you're doing when you're on a set and everyone's professional, everyone knows what they're doing, and the actors are prepped, they've done their work, it's just a joy, because then you can really get into the character, and that's what it's about. It's play acting. You're trying to create a character, and you're trying to find the different permutations of how you can put this guy on film, right?
How you put this person on film.
Now, what kind of how do you prepare? I know there's method, and then there's
yeah, I actually studied with Lee Strasberg, which was
really
method. It took me a few years to get to him, but I worked with him for about a year before he passed away. I also worked with Bobby Lewis. Strasberg method acting is more of an internal thing. You feel it and then you act it. Bobby Lewis is more of the environment impacts you, and that's that's basically the short version.
It's like feeling inside out acting.
Right, exactly.
As opposed to outside in.
What I've learned over the years is different things are going to suit different situations.
Yeah.
It's going to be different for everyone. Method acting may work, but maybe you don't have the time to get it happening on a set. Sometimes there is no rehearsal when you're shooting a film. The director or the casting director has faith in you that you're going to be a professional based on the body of your work and what they've seen.
Yeah.
You're going to rock up on set, you're going to know your lines, you're going to be ready to go. That's it. And you get on set before the cameras start rolling, they'll run it 2 or 3 times, depending on the complexity of the scene, and then the director goes, great, that's what we're doing, bang, shoot it.
Right.
And then they'll change the POV shots, the camera positions, that sort of thing. You do exactly the same thing. So you really got to be prepped and ready when you get to set to approach that kind of shooting. If you're doing theater, man, you got 6, 7, 8 weeks to get into character, to do this, to do that, because you're doing a 2-hour show. And if the legs fall out from under you, if you forget dialogue, people are scrambling. And it's happened. I've been on set where you forget, and it's like, Jesus, just let the stage open up and swallow me whole. I'm ready to die right now.
It's
Let
ruined.
the world to come
No
to
more.
yeah. But you struggle, you get through it, and it just makes you stronger. Yeah.
I think a lot of actors now have it all wrong. I think Lee Strasberg was actually one of the first people that said, it's there if you need it. Actors now have this tendency where it's like, well, I have to feel it. I'm not in that mindset yet. But you have a job to maintain.
Exactly. If you're getting paid for a job, the approach is, the director. There's not, even in big budget movies, you've got to understand. There's literally hundreds of people that are making this thing happen that have to get paid.
Yeah.
And unless you're someone who's huge and can say, dude, I need an hour to prepare or something like that, you're not going to get it.
Yeah.
And there's stories. The industry is rife with stories about actors needing the time to prepare and this sort of thing. But then you got to look at the quality of the work. Was it worth it? And the biggest thing that comes to mind is Marlon Brando. Writing dialogue on. He did a movie called Last Tango in Paris years ago, and he actually wrote the dialogue in this naked girl's butt while they were in the bathtub. Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So he can get away with it, because you look at his body of work and say, yeah, let him do whatever the hell he wants to. He's
Yeah, he knows what he's doing,
yeah, exactly.
what works for him.
Yeah, exactly. So it just depends. At my level, you want to come prepped. You want to be able to give the director what he wants. And when the director says, that's not what I want, and you got to rethink what you're doing. I'm actually shooting something on Sunday. No rehearsal. You got to rock up on set. Had a brief 5-minute conversation with the director over the phone. Yeah, the guy's, he just lost his job and he's really tired, And the character that I'm playing is a zombie. He's turned into a zombie. And I'm going, well, what about the fact that he's turned into a zombie? Do you think maybe that's going to depress him a little bit? His face is falling off. Do you think that's going to be an issue, as far as character development goes? Yeah, okay, yeah, you can do that too. So it's like everybody works differently. And who's the captain of the ship? That's the guy you got to pledge your allegiance to. Otherwise, don't take the job.
And then
you
learn
work
everything fast.
Yeah, exactly. And then if he doesn't like what you're doing on the day, you go, oh, God, now what do I do? So, okay, what do you need me to do? What do you need me to do? And you just do what he wants. It's his baby, because it's either that or he's going to put you on the cutting room floor.
Yeah, true. All right, John, we have 2 more minutes now. I want you to... I'm curious to know, who is your biggest inspiration, and if you had any advice for upcoming actors or inspiring actors, what would you tell them?
Yeah, look, my biggest inspiration, it's you got to look all the, Anthony Hopkins, Marlon Brando, Meryl Streep, the list just goes on and on. Dustin Hoffman. There's all these wonderful people that just understand what the craft of acting is. There's a lot of newcomers that come into the industry that don't really understand or get a grasp. People are asking you to create a character in front of a camera, in front of a set. And, when you look at the finished product on a screen, you go, well, that looks really easy. It's a kid playing a kid. But when you got lights and you got cameras and you got this and don't talk, and action, now you got to do it, but maybe not once. Maybe you have to do it 10 times. And you got to maintain the same level of performance. That's the difference with film and theater. In theater, it's one shot every night. In film, you got to do it maybe 10 times for the master shot. And then you got POV shots, different perspectives, and you got to do it all over again. The shots have to match up, So it's a different discipline. It's more difficult. I actually enjoy the discipline more, I think, than theater.
It's a lot more interesting.
Yeah, it's interesting. It's interesting because a lot more can go wrong in film, continuity and all that. And you guys have seen stuff like that.
Yeah.
As far as young actors coming up, if you have a really, really generic look, where you don't look like anything, you got a better shot at making it in Los Angeles. And that's the truth. Because when you start looking very, very specific, if you've got really, really blonde hair or red hair, or you look Italian like I do, it becomes a lot more difficult because they look at your photo and straight away you're pigeonholed. And I've got a body of work where you can look at the different stuff I've done. I've played a guy who's OCD. I've played a guy who's an Egyptian. I've played a scientist. I've played a guy in a rocket ship. I played a mafia guy. Do you know what I'm saying? I've done all that. So it's what the actor brings to it, and then it's having the opportunity to be able to do it. Sometimes you're not given that opportunity because people can't look past what they see in your photo.
Yeah.
So it's a difficult thing. And LA's hard, man. Like I said, if you look really generic and you can go to an audition and you can just be yourself, basically. If you're trying to or be anybody else but yourself, you're never going to get the job. That's the reality. There's just too many people that are very specific to a particular casting. And a casting director may see 40, 50, 60 people in a day, and they may choose someone who isn't the best actor, but is right for the role.
Right.
Yeah, and that's the bottom line, who's right for the role. They may not be the best person, but for some reason they've said something, there's an inflection in the voice, they just look right. They got the same color eyes as the person that's cast in the lead. There's a lot of different variables that go into casting. It's a really difficult thing, yeah.
Absolutely. I think that's great advice that you didn't sugarcoat it,
That's the
Just
reality.
keep on trying, keep on trucking.
Yeah, absolutely.
We are going to listen to another track, hopefully by Walls That Talk, and we are coming back with Walls That Talk, going to play us a couple of acoustic songs, so stick around. This is In Transit Radio.
Thanks for having me, Ray.
Thank you, John.